Hi, everyone. Today, I want to talk about a very controversial topic: gender transition in kids and in teenagers. First, I want to clarify that this video is not about judgment, it's not about hate, it's about asking important questions. I want to look at science and thinking very carefully before making life changing decisions for our young people. My name is Rod Eustáquio, and I am psychoanalyst candidate here based in New Jersey. First off, I want to discuss what is gender dysphoria. It's when someone feels deep distress because their gender identity doesn't match their biological sex. The argument here, which is the notion that the person might have been born with the wrong body. But here's the question: should we treat children with irreversible medical interventions? Let's take a closer look. Puberty blockers and hormones are often called safe or reversible, which is a lie. The truth is, studies have found connection between puberty blockers and potentially permanent effects. These effects include loss of bone density, impaired brain development, infertility, just to name a few. Oh, let's not forget the double mastectomies, aka top surgery. Yes, on minors, permanent. They're making life altering decisions for children using experimental medicine that will harm their bodies for life. Another reason, detransition and regret. Teens who transition later realize it wasn't the right choice. A study from the UK showed that over 70% of people who detransitioned did so because their feeling of gender dysphoria went away, or they realized they were influenced by outside factors. Right now, there's no strong long term evidence showing early transition improves outcomes in adulthood. Even medical groups that support gender affirming care admit that their research is really limited. We wouldn't approve a new drug with this little data, so why are we changing kids' bodies with so little proof? Another big reason and the risk for transitioning kids is the mental health and misdiagnosis. Many young people with gender dysphoria, in fact, struggle with serious mental health issues like depression and anxiety, trauma, or autism. In many cases, what is labeled as gender dysphoria may actually reflect the normal psychological turbulence of puberty. The challenging transition from childhood to adolescence and adulthood. Now I'm going to give you a reason really strong and why it's so risky to transition kids. Social influence and what we call ROGD. ROGD stands for Rapid Onset Gender Dysphoria. The acronym describes teens, usually girls, who suddenly start identify as transgender, often after spending time in online spaces or seeing friends transition. A 2018 study by Dr. Lisa Lietman found signs that social influence plays a major role in these cases. Before puberty, boys and girls are pretty similar emotionally and physically. But once puberty hits, girls tends to feel more negative emotions, and that shift can last into adulthood. It's not just about hormones, it's biology. As boys grow physically stronger, girls are wired to sense danger and prepare for reproduction. That can make them more emotionally sensitive and overwhelmed. Then there's the social side. Girls grow up in a world that often values them for how they look. So it's not surprising that many teenage girls feel disconnected from or uncomfortable with their bodies. When you put all these together, the emotional change, culture pressure, online influence, it's easy to see why so many teens might start to question their gender. But in many cases, that they're really dealing with could be emotional pain, identity confusion, or pressure to fit the circles of friends, not true gender dysphoria. Now, I want to address some of the popular arguments in favor of the early transition. So, the first claim is transition saves lives. Trans youth do have a higher suicide risk, but there's no strong evidence that puberty blockers or hormones reduce suicide. There aren't research supporting the argument that puberty blockers prevent suicide. So, what does help? Well, what helps is therapy, support, time, and of course, love. Another claim is affirming their identity helps them feel better. Yeah, maybe in the short term, but studies from Sweden, other countries shown that even after surgery, trans adults have suicide rates much higher than the general population. All this to say, true healing comes from within, not just from changing the body. Another claim is doctors support transition for youth. Well, some do, but the butchers and mercenaries, the reliable ones, don't. Sweden, Finland, and UK have all rolled back medical transition for minors. Brazil, for example, a country from Latin America, never allowed transition for minors. So, what can we do instead? Listen with compassion, offer real mental health care, and give kids the chance to grow up. Most kids with gender dysphoria will grow out of it by adulthood. Locking them into a medical pathway too soon, it's too risky. I want to give a final thought about this. This topic is not about being anti anyone, it's about being pro child, pro science, and pro caution. Before we alter healthy bodies, let's be sure we're helping, not hurting. Thank you for watching. Please share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's protect our kids together.